Hey folks, Todd here. Today we're going to install the BAKFlip MX4 on this 2024 GMC Sierra 1500. Now this is the same installation as your Chevy Silverado. Let's go ahead and get started. The tools I'll be using for this installation are a ratchet with a 1/2-inch socket, a Phillips head screwdriver, and a pair of scissors. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is install our bulkhead seal. Now that goes on top of the bulkhead in between the bed caps. We're going to install it on at the very back side of that bulkhead, so furthest away from the cab as possible. Now we're going to do this because we've got the spray-in bed liner. If we had a painted bed liner or a painted bed, we would do that as well. If we had a drop-in bed liner that came over top of the bulkhead that was even with the top of the bed caps, we would not be using the bulkhead seal. So this bulkhead seal basically makes the difference in the height between the bed cap and the bulkhead. So what we're going to do is first, before we apply the seal, we're going to clean off this surface so we can get a good bond. We're going to use some isopropyl alcohol. I'll just put it on a paper towel and we're kind of dab it in. What this does is this removes any kind of debris and any kind of soap residue or wax or anything like that that might be on the surface that would weaken the bond. All right, next we're going to take our bulkhead seal and we're going to peel away the adhesive protector. And we're going to go ahead and push it all the way up against the bed cap and bear down. We're going to bring it all the way over to the other side and then cut it into place. All right, let's go ahead and grab a rail. All right, so we're going to start on the driver's side. I'm going to show you the driver's side rail. Now, I want to point out real quick, on the front side of the rail, we actually have this little foam block that's on there. We're going to pull that off. This is our drain cup. In our kit, we're also going to have some drain tubes. So we're just going to take that drain tube, fit it over top of the spout. And next, what we're going to do is we're going to take and bring this up to the side of the truck, right? So this is just going to kind of hang like a ledge on top of the side of the truck. We're going to bring it all the way up to the bulkhead. This is where it's going to mount. But the first thing I want to point out is where this drain tube needs to go. So on these trucks, if you don't have a drop-in bed liner, if you've got either a spray-in bed liner or a painted bed liner, you can actually take and pop this little plug out of the way. It gives you a little hole. We can route this through. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure this out by hand just to about this point here, because when it goes into that hole, it's only going to go down a certain way. So we're going to go ahead and cut off the tube. And now we can take that tube and route it down through that hole. Now with the drain tube in place, what we're going to do is we're going to find one of our clamps. Now this is what our clamp looks like. I've already got it kind of splayed apart. So this is the portion of the clamp we need to focus on right here. Now, if you look at this side of the clamp, what you want to know is that this is going to go up into the rail and then kind of snap into place. So go ahead and push that clamp up in there and then it will snap in place just like so. And what we're going to do is we're going to slide it. You can slide that clamp now back and forth. We're going to slide it up towards the bed cap as far forward as we can go where the clamp will still fit in place. Now, it's important to make sure you're in the right locations on the Chevy and GMC applications because there's actually a flat spot underneath the bed cap that you can attach to. So what we're going to do is we're going to tighten this by hand first. All right, now once we get it hand tight, make sure that this L portion of the clamp is up into the top notch on this clamp up here. And we're going to take a 1/2-inch wrench or ratchet and go ahead and get that snug down. Now we also want to make sure, double check that this is pulled all the way up to the bulkhead. We're going to go ahead and snug this down. We want to make sure it's tightened down to about 10 foot-pounds. All right, now as we move back along the rail, about this far back and also about this far back, we've got two areas where we got kind of flat spots underneath the bed cap, either right here or right here. I'm going to go ahead and pick this one right back here and install the next clamp at this location. And we're going to do this the exact same way. We're going to fit it up inside and then click it into place. Sometimes it's easier to pull the whole clamp apart and then put it back together. So I'm going to go ahead and do it with this one to show you how that's done. We're just pulling that apart. Take this portion of the clamp, find the location where we're going to install it, fit it up into the rail, and then click it in place. Now you can actually push and slide that back and forth inside that rail. So now we're going to take the L portion that is threaded and put that on the inside, and then take our bolt with washer. Now what's cool about this system is that you can actually put all three of your clamps on, line them up where you want and set it on the rail, and then do them one by one like that, or you can do them like how I'm doing here. But again, this one you want to make sure that clamp is on that top notch. And again, tighten down hand tight first, and then snug it down to 10 foot-pounds with your 1/2 inch wrench or ratchet. All right, now we're going to go to our last clamp location. This one's going to install the exact same way, and again, you're going to want to bring it all the way back to the very end of the bed cap where you can fit a clamp up in there. So again, I'm going to pull this one apart, slide the clamp up into the rail, and click it into place, and then put my L section of the clamp up inside. And again, we're going to thread this back in and tighten it down again to 10 foot-pounds with a 1/2 inch wrench or ratchet. All right, once you got the rail put on with all three clamps and all tightened down, repeat the same process on the opposite side. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and lift the cover up and set it on top of the bed caps. So the A panel is going to go towards the cab of the truck. Let's go ahead and lift that up. Once we have that set in place, we want to make sure that the A panel is over top of the bulkhead, and then the black seal on the front is over top. We also want to make sure it's centered side to side. All right, now one panel at a time, what we're going to do is we're going to keep them nice and centered, and then slowly fold them back to the tailgate. And you'll hear them latch into place as we go. All right, now the last panel. Again, make sure that is even side to side, nice and centered. All right, now with that down, what we're going to do, once we got it centered, we're going to go ahead and lift that back up and just let it rest on top of our rails. We're going to close our tailgate. Now here we want to make sure that the back of the cover is nice and even, so it's straight along the tailgate. Also, we just want that back part of the seal to be touching the tailgate. It doesn't need to be overlapping super far or anything like that. All right, there we go. We got a good seal going on. So what we're going to do is go ahead and open the tailgate, and one panel at a time, fold the cover up to the cab of the truck, and then we can go ahead and lock everything down. But as we're folding it, make sure you don't shift it out of alignment, because right now it's exactly where it needs to be tightened down. Okay, so here is our bracket we installed earlier on the bottom side of the A panel. I'm over here on the driver's side. Basically what we're going to do to get this attached is we're going to loosen it back up. And we can go ahead and drop that down, and that's going to slide over. Now you're going to notice we got a little notch in the clamp on this side, and then we've also got a notch on this side. This notch drops into this peg, and this notch right here is going to go right over top of the edge of our rail. Then we can go ahead and take and tighten our star knob back down. While you're doing this, make sure you're not shifting the cover out of the way. Repeat the same process on the opposite side. All right, now we're going to go ahead and install our rubber bumpers. Now what that's going to do is buffer the cover against the cab so they don't actually contact. So what we're going to do is we're going to lift the cover up towards the cab and see where it would be contacting the cab. So we're going to install a rubber bumper here, one in the center and one on the opposite side, kind of a mirror image of this one. So go ahead and bring this back. What we're going to do first is we're going to wipe that down with some rubbing alcohol. That way the 3M adhesive on the rubber bumper will stick well. Wipe that surface down here, right in the center, and then down over here. Now we've got some oversized rubber bumpers in our kit for this particular application. We're going to go ahead and peel that away, line it up, and bear down. Give it some nice pressure. We'll go ahead and do the next two. And there we go. All right, now let me show you something real quick. If you want to drive with your cover partially closed but partially in open position, what you're going to do is you're going to pull these straps out. You can extend them out. They're going to clip into the clip receivers, and then you can go ahead and cinch them down. Make sure you have both of them attached before you drive. Now, if you want to drive with your cover open, you can go ahead and pull that last lever. We're going to rock it all the way forward where the cover rests against the cab on those bumpers. Then you can take the prop rod, rock that forward. Here, you're going to loosen that up. That's going to drop down on top of the prop rod, and then just snug it back down. Make sure you do that on both sides, and you're ready to drive down the highway. Well, it's just that simple, and that concludes the installation.